I was just about to take a sip of the milk Ethan handed me when my phone suddenly started ringing. A voice on the other end said, "Don't drink it. It's been tampered with." My hand shook so badly that I nearly spilled the glass. The voice sounded rushed, almost panicked. She said we only had about half a minute, so I needed to listen carefully. "This is Rachel. I'm calling from tomorrow. Right now, it's 3 in the morning, and I'm at your funeral. Your husband is going to push you from the balcony while you're asleep. You won't survive the fall." I froze and instinctively glanced at Ethan. He looked calm and gentle, exactly the man I thought I knew. Nothing about him matched what I was hearing. The voice continued, slow and deliberate. She said that if I didn't believe her, I should check his secret messaging account. He'd been talking to someone behind my back for a long time. His plan was to make my death look like an accident during this honeymoon. If I wanted to live, I couldn't let my guard down. I had to find her before 3 a.m., and she would keep me safe. Then the call cut off. I stood there, completely shaken. Rachel was my best friend, and she was fast asleep in the next room. How could she have called me with something so impossible? I tried calling back, but the number didn't exist. Ethan came out of the kitchen with a warm smile. He gently nudged me and said, "What's wrong, babe? Hurry up and drink your milk before it gets cold." Looking at his familiar smile, I felt a tight knot form in my stomach. Even if I wanted to dismiss the call as a cruel prank, I couldn't. Not when my life might be at risk. I made up an excuse, set the glass aside, and went to Rachel's room with my phone in hand. When I asked her about it, she frowned and shook her head. "What are you talking about? It's pouring outside, and the signal's awful. I couldn't have called you even if I wanted to." When I checked my phone, there was no signal at all. I was completely confused. I had heard that voice clearly. It had sounded exactly like Rachel. Could it really have been her, calling from the future? Just replaying her words made my skin crawl. Ethan was busy in the kitchen, and his phone was sitting on the coffee table. He never locked it around me, so I unlocked it easily. When I saw the messages from an insurance agent, my heart dropped. Ethan had taken out an accidental death insurance policy on me shortly before our honeymoon, and he was listed as the sole beneficiary. I tried to convince myself it was just a coincidence. But then I found a second, hidden messaging account. There was only one contact. No name, just a woman's profile picture. The chat was filled with private photos and angry messages. One of them read, "When are you finally going to divorce her? Wouldn't it be easier if she just disappeared?" My hands started to shake. Then I heard a voice behind me. "Claire, what are you looking at?" I jumped and quickly closed everything, pretending nothing had happened. I said my phone lost signal, so I wanted to see if his was working. Ethan studied me for a moment, then his expression softened. "That makes sense," he said. "The storm must be messing with the signal. It should be fine by tomorrow. Don't overthink it. Come on, have some fruit." He set a plate down in front of me. I forced a smile and reached for a piece, then stopped and quietly put it back. Looking back, that phone call was most likely real. If Ethan truly meant to hurt me while I slept, refusing the milk wouldn't stop him from trying something else. I checked the time. It was 11 p.m., 5 hours until 3. If I stayed close to Rachel until then, I might be safe. I told Ethan my stomach didn't feel right, and asked if I could sleep in Rachel's room. He immediately refused. Ethan, who had never said no to me before, suddenly sounded firm. The change left me stunned. Just then, Rachel stepped out of her room, clearly curious. "Are you two arguing?" she asked. Then she looked straight at Ethan. "Claire's my best friend. If you ever mess with her, you'll have to answer to me." Rachel had always been blunt and fearless. Hearing her, I felt a small sense of relief. I shot her a desperate look, hoping she'd understand. She did instantly and suggested I sleep in her room. Ethan's face darkened for a brief second before he looked back at me. He still refused, insisting that we were newlyweds and that this was our honeymoon. Having a third person around, he said, was already too much. Rachel clearly didn't trust Ethan, especially since this trip was overseas. She had only come along because she was worried about me. But after what he said, she reluctantly backed off. Afraid of provoking him, I went back to the bedroom with Ethan. Even though my body was exhausted, I couldn't bring myself to fall asleep. Late at night, Ethan suddenly broke the silence. "Babe," he asked quietly, "who do you trust more, me or Rachel?" My heart skipped. I swallowed and said, "What do you mean? You're both important to me. Of course I trust you both." Ethan sighed and said in a low voice, "If I told you your best friend isn't someone you should trust, that she might actually be dangerous, would you believe me?" Rachel and I had been best friends since middle school. 12 years. I knew her better than anyone. If she hadn't warned me, I might already be unconscious, walking straight into Ethan's plan. But I stayed calm and asked, "Why would you say that?" Ethan hesitated, then said she would probably try to get me alone tonight, and that I shouldn't go with her. Right then, there was a knock at the door. Rachel called out, "Claire, it's me. The power's out. Can you come with me to the bathroom? I'm scared to go alone." I said I was coming, but Ethan grabbed my arm. A flash of lightning lit up his face, and for a split second his eyes looked cold and unfamiliar. I kicked free and jumped out of bed. When I opened the door and saw Rachel, Ethan instantly relaxed. His expression returned to normal, and he even smiled. "Yeah, the power's out," he said calmly. "You girls should stick together. Claire, make sure you come back soon. I'll be waiting." As Rachel pulled me away, I couldn't stop wondering why Ethan, who had military training, seemed so uneasy around her. Inside the bathroom, Rachel asked why we were still awake. Her tone was tense, and it made my nerves spike. I brushed it off, saying we were just talking. She pressed a little, asking if anything important had happened. I shook my head. Her expression flickered with disappointment before returning to normal. A chill ran through me. The woman from the call had known about Ethan's secret account. How could she have known unless Rachel already knew? The thought terrified me. Trying to sound casual, I asked, "Do you think Ethan would ever cheat on me?" Rachel laughed nervously and said, "Didn't you say his phone is always open to you? Just check it." I tightened my grip on the flashlight. "What if he has a secret account?" I asked Rachel. Rachel froze, her hands still under the running water. Her expression turned awkward as she pressed the soap dispenser again, and again without realizing it. Rachel's fingers stilled under the running water. For a second, the only sound was the faucet and the distant drum of rain against the window. Then she forced a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. "A secret account?" she repeated, like the words were ridiculous. "Claire, come on. Ethan's not that type." I watched her face, the way her smile kept slipping. She turned the water off too quickly, as if she was afraid of leaving her hands there any longer. "You said it yourself," she added, grabbing a towel. "He's always open with you." My throat felt tight. "I did say that." Rachel nodded too hard, like she was convincing herself. "So don't spiral. It's the storm. You're tired. We're in a foreign country. Everything feels amplified." Her voice was steady again, but her eyes kept darting to the door, to the lock, to my hands. I lifted my phone a little. The flashlight beam wobbled between us. "What's wrong?" I asked softly. "Why did you freeze?" Rachel's mouth opened, then closed. She pressed her palms against the counter. "I didn't freeze. You did." Her jaw clenched. For a moment, she looked like she might snap at me. Then her shoulders dropped, and she tried a different approach, gentle, protective. "I'm worried about you," she said. "This honeymoon has been weird. Ethan's been weird. But you can't jump to the worst conclusion just because you saw a couple messages." I swallowed. I saw an insurance policy that landed. Rachel's eyes flicked down, then back up. "Okay," she said carefully. That's not normal." "And I saw the secret account," I continued, keeping my voice even. I saw what she said. Rachel's lips parted. "Who said what?" The question came too fast. My stomach turned. "You mean you don't know?" Rachel blinked, and I watched her realize her mistake. Her fingers tightened on the towel until the fabric twisted. She started. I stepped closer. "Rachel, tell me the truth." She exhaled sharply, like her lungs had been holding something heavy. "I don't know," she said, but her voice cracked on the last word. The air in the bathroom felt smaller, tighter. Outside, thunder rolled again. Rachel rubbed her forehead. "I didn't call you," she said. "I swear I didn't. And I didn't know about an insurance policy. But what?" My voice came out thin. She stared at the sink like it had answers. "But I knew he was hiding something," she admitted quietly. Not this. My heart thudded so hard it hurt. "How?" I whispered. Rachel's eyes lifted to mine. "Because he asked me something earlier." My skin went cold. "What did he ask you?" Rachel hesitated again, like the words tasted bad. "He asked me how deeply you sleep." I felt my knees go soft. "And he said it like a joke," she rushed, holding up a hand. "Like, does Claire sleep through storms? Does she wake up if you call her name?" I played it off. I said I didn't know. I told him to ask you. I tried to breathe. It felt like breathing through cloth. "That's why you came." I whispered, the realization stabbing through me. You didn't come because you wanted to be a third wheel. You came because you didn't trust him. Rachel looked away. I came because something was off. And because you're my best friend. Then she looked back, and there was fear in her eyes that mirrored mine. But Claire, she said slowly, if he really has a secret account and an insurance policy, then we can't let him know you saw it. I nodded, numb. I know. Rachel reached out for my wrist. Her grip was warm, solid, grounding. We have to act normal, she whispered. We have to make him think you're still his. The way she said it, his, made my stomach twist again. I pulled my wrist back, not because I didn't trust her, but because I suddenly didn't trust anything. My mind flashed back to the call. The voice that sounded like Rachel. The warning. The command to find her before 3. I'll keep you safe. My eyes slid to Rachel. She looked at me like she was reading my thoughts. It wasn't me, she whispered, fierce and shaken. I didn't call. I know, I whispered back. But did I? My mind kept looping over the moment in the bathroom. Her freeze, her awkward laugh, her soap dispenser pumping like a nervous tick. Then my phone buzzed again. A text. Unknown number. 2 words. Don't go back. My whole body went cold. Rachel leaned closer, eyes locked on the screen. Okay, she whispered. That's not a prank. That's targeted. The duty manager arrived with a security guard a few minutes later, 2 men in uniforms, faces serious under the harsh emergency lighting. The manager listened as I explained, stumbling through the story. The call, the insurance messages, the secret account. The manager didn't look skeptical, he looked alarmed. We can move you, he said immediately. We'll put you in a room near the front desk, with cameras in the hallway. Security can escort you. And Ethan? Rachel demanded. We'll handle it carefully, the manager said. We can tell him the storm caused a maintenance issue and the villa is being inspected. My heart hammered. He'll know, I whispered. Rachel's voice went sharp. Let him. The security guard raised a hand, calm but firm. Ma'am, he said to me. Do you have any proof you can show us? Something on his phone. I hesitated, then nodded. Yes. Rachel squeezed my arm. Show them. Now. We led them to a quiet corner of the lobby. My fingers trembled as I scrolled through the photos I'd quickly snapped of Ethan's insurance messages and the hidden chat. The security guard's face tightened. The manager's mouth went slightly open. Okay, the manager said quietly. We're moving you right now. Another buzz. Unknown number again. This time a longer message. He will pretend to be calm. He will insist you overreacted. He will ask to speak to you alone. Don't do it. Stay where there are cameras. Stay with the guard. You have until 3 o'clock. My vision blurred. Rachel read it over my shoulder and went rigid. Claire, she whispered. This person knows his pattern. The manager frowned. Who is texting you? I don't know, I admitted, voice thin. It said it was Rachel. Calling from tomorrow. Rachel's eyes snapped to the manager. Someone is messing with her, she said. Or someone is trying to help her. The manager looked like he didn't want to touch that sentence. Either way, he said, we're not sending you back alone. We moved quickly. The security guard escorted us down a corridor behind the lobby to a staff elevator that ran on backup power. The hallway lights flickered as we passed. The whole resort felt like it was holding its breath. They put us in a suite near the front desk, simple, bright, cameras visible at the end of the corridor outside the door. The manager handed me a key card and looked me straight in the eyes. Do not open the door for anyone, he said. Not even your husband. If he comes, call the front desk immediately. I nodded. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the key card. Rachel locked the door, then checked the chain, then checked it again like the motion could calm her. Then she turned to me. Okay, she said, voice tight. You're safe for now. For now, I echoed. Rachel paced the small room like a caged animal. We need to think, she said. We need to figure out who texted you. My throat felt raw. Or we need to survive until 3. Rachel stopped pacing and looked at me. We're doing both. I sank onto the edge of the bed and hugged my arms around myself. It was 12:17 a.m. Less than 3 hours. Rachel sat across from me, knees bouncing. Claire, she said gently. Listen to me. Even if the future call thing is insane, the insurance policy isn't. The hidden chat isn't. That part is real. I nodded, eyes burning. And, Rachel continued, I want you to understand something. If you hadn't looked at his phone tonight, you might have. She couldn't finish. I couldn't either. We sat in silence for a moment, the generator hum filling the space between us. Then 3 sharp knocks on the door. Rachel stood instantly, body angled like she was ready to fight. A voice came through the door, warm and familiar. "Claire? Babe. It's me, Ethan." My heart slammed into my ribs. Rachel looked at me, eyes blazing. I forced myself to breathe. Another knock. Softer this time. "Claire," Ethan said, voice calm. "The front desk told me you switched rooms. They said it's just maintenance, but they wouldn't explain. Are you okay?" Rachel mouthed, "Don't answer." My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Don't speak to him." My fingers shook as I held the phone up to Rachel. She read it and went pale. Ethan's voice stayed gentle. "You don't have to open the door," he said, as if he could read our fear. "Just talk to me. What's going on?" Rachel stepped close to the door and spoke through it, loud and clear. "She's fine," she said. "Go back to your room." A pause. Then Ethan laughed softly, like Rachel was being ridiculous. "Rachel," he said, "this is between me and my wife." Rachel's voice went sharper. "She doesn't want to talk." Another pause. Then Ethan's tone changed. Still polite but colder underneath. "You sure about that?" he asked. My stomach dropped. It was the exact shift the text warned me about. Calm, controlled pressure disguised as reason. Rachel leaned down and called the front desk on the suite phone. "Security," she said immediately. "He's here. Ethan." Ethan heard it. His voice stayed calm. "Seriously," he said. "You're calling security on me? On her husband?" Rachel didn't answer him. She kept her eyes on the peephole. I stood frozen, pulse roaring in my ears. A minute later, footsteps approached fast. Voices in the hallway. The security guard arrived with another staff member. "Sir," the guard said firmly, "you need to step back." Ethan's voice rose, not in anger, but in disbelief. "This is my wife," he said. "She's upset. I just want to talk to her." "You can talk to her in the lobby," the guard said. Ethan chuckled, like they were all overreacting. In the lobby? At midnight? During a storm? Over what? A misunderstanding. The guard didn't budge. "Sir, please step back." Silence. Then Ethan sighed, the sound of a man playing patient. "Fine," he said. "Tell her I love her. Tell her I'm waiting." Footsteps moved away. Rachel didn't relax until the hallway was quiet again. Then she turned to me, eyes fierce. "You see," she whispered. "You see how he was trying to corner you?" I nodded, my throat tight. Rachel exhaled hard. "We're not sleeping," she said. "Not even for a second." I looked at the time again. 12:49 a.m. Every minute crawled like it was dragging a weight. Rachel and I sat on opposite beds, both fully dressed, shoes on, lights on, sweet phone within reach. I kept checking my phone like it might combust. At 1:12 a.m., another text came in. "He will try again. He will act hurt. He will say you're embarrassing him. Don't care. Stay alive." My chest ached. "Who are you?" I whispered at the screen, like the phone might answer. Rachel leaned over. "Ask," she whispered. My fingers trembled as I typed. "Who is this?" The reply came after a long pause. "Someone who watched you die." I stared at the words until they blurred. Rachel's breathing went shallow beside me. Then another message followed. "I didn't stop him. I thought you were safe. I was wrong. I won't be wrong again." Rachel's face went white. "Claire," she whispered, voice breaking. "I swear to you, that isn't me." I looked at her. I believed her. But the message had Rachel's guilt in it like a fingerprint. Unless someone was framing her. Unless Rachel was telling the truth now, but hadn't before. The uncertainty was its own kind of terror. At 1:40 a.m., the power flickered and came back. Lights brightened. The generator hum shifted. The storm outside still raged, but the resort felt less like a black box now. Cameras were on. Phones worked more reliably. It should have felt like relief. Instead, it felt like a countdown clock suddenly got louder. At 2:03 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Rachel's eyes locked on mine. "Don't," she whispered. But my hands moved before my fear could stop them. I answered. A familiar voice filled my ear. "Claire," it said softly, urgently. "Rachel." But Rachel was sitting right in front of me, staring at my phone like it was a weapon. "Listen," the voice said. "I don't have much time." My throat locked. "Who are you?" A shaky inhale. "I'm me," she said. "Just not the me you're looking at." Rachel's face crumpled as if the sound hit her somewhere deep. The voice continued. "You did the right thing leaving the villa. He can't do it the way he planned now. That's why he's going to change the plan. My skin prickled. Change it how? He's going to make you come back, the voice said fast. He'll say he's sick. He'll say he needs help. He'll say there's a problem with the balcony door, with the safe, with his passport, anything that makes you go to him. And if you go, even with security, he'll try to split you up. Rachel stood abruptly. Stop, she snapped at the phone, voice shaking. Who are you? There was a pause, like the voice on the other end was swallowing something painful. Then it said very quietly, I'm the reason you didn't make it. Rachel's face broke. She covered her mouth with both hands, eyes filling. My heart squeezed so hard I thought it might crack. Rachel, I whispered, reaching for her. She backed away, shaking her head, like she didn't deserve to be touched. The voice on the phone kept going. He asked her to help him. It said. He told her you were unstable. He told her you were spiraling. He told her if anything happened, it would be because you stopped. Stop. Rachel sobbed, voice muffled behind her hands. I felt sick. Ethan asked you to help him? I asked Rachel. Rachel's eyes darted to mine, wild with fear and guilt. Then she nodded. Once, she choked out. Small. Devastating. He tried. Earlier. Before dinner. He pulled me aside when you were in the shower. My whole body went cold. He told me you'd been having panic attacks, Rachel whispered. That you were not yourself. He asked me to keep an eye on you tonight. He said if you did something reckless. I needed to. I needed to tell staff you'd been acting strange. And you believed him? No, she cried. No. I didn't. I told him he was disgusting for saying that. I told him if you were struggling he should support you, not weaponize it. And he smiled at me like I was stupid. Like it didn't matter what I said. Her voice shook harder. And then he said, you love her, right? Then do what I'm asking. Don't make this harder. I turned back to the phone, heart pounding. So you are? Rachel. The voice on the other end sounded like it was crying too. Yes, it whispered. I'm the Rachel who woke up tomorrow and couldn't fix what happened tonight. I felt my breath stutter. And you're calling me now? I whispered. I don't know how, she admitted, voice shaking. I only know I'm doing it. I found your phone in my bag. I don't remember putting it there. I found the number in the call log. I called it. And it connected. Like the world gave me one chance to undo it. My hands trembled around the phone. What do we do? I whispered. Stay in the lobby, future Rachel said immediately. Now, go where there are cameras and people. Don't stay in the suite. He'll find a way to get you alone. He will. He's patient. Rachel in front of me looked like she was about to collapse. Future Rachel's voice softened, just for a second. And don't hate her, she said. She tried. She did. But she hesitated at the worst moment. And you paid for it. Don't let that happen again. Rachel's shoulders shook. I swallowed hard. He told me you were dangerous, I said into the phone. Future Rachel gave a bitter laugh. He tells everyone what he needs them to believe. Then her voice sharpened. He's moving. I can hear him. Claire, go. Now. The line went dead. I stood there, shaking, staring at my phone like it had just spoken to me from a different reality. Rachel wiped her face with the back of her hand, furious at herself, furious at Ethan, furious at time. Lobby, she said, voice raw. Now. We grabbed our phones, the key card, and the suite phone cord like it was an anchor. Rachel threw the door open and scanned the hallway. Empty. We moved fast, feet quiet on the carpet. When we reached the lobby, the night clerk looked up, startled again. Rachel didn't slow down. We're staying here, she said sharply. With security. The security guard nodded and gestured to a seating area near the cameras and desk. We sat. Time moved like syrup. Every sound made my pulse jump. At 2:34 a.m., Ethan walked into the lobby. Dry, clean, calm. Like the storm hadn't touched him. He had that same gentle expression he'd worn when he nudged the milk toward me. Claire, he said softly, as if we were having a normal disagreement. There you are. My stomach twisted. Rachel stood immediately, positioning herself between us. Ethan's gaze flicked to her, then back to me, like she was just furniture. I'm not here to fight, he said. I'm here to talk. The security guard stepped forward. Sir, we can talk here, he said. But you need to keep your distance. Ethan smiled at the guard like he was indulging a child. Of course, he said. Then he turned his full attention to me, eyes gentle, voice honeyed. Babe, what is this? He asked. You ran out in the storm. You accused me of things. You're scaring yourself. I stared at him, forcing my voice to stay steady. Why did you take out an accidental death policy on me? Ethan's smile didn't flinch. Because we're traveling, he said easily. Because anything can happen. I thought it was responsible. And why are you the sole beneficiary? His eyes flicked just once. Because you're my wife, he said, as if it were obvious. Who else would it be? Rachel laughed harsh. Maybe her best friend? Since you were trying to paint her as unstable, she snapped. Ethan's eyes flashed cold for a fraction of a second. Then he smiled again. Rachel, he said, voice smooth. You're not helping. He stepped forward slightly, as if he needed to close the space between me and him to regain control. The guard stepped in immediately. Ethan stopped, holding his hands up in mock surrender. Okay, he said. Still calm. Okay. But Claire, look at me. My skin crawled. He tried to soften his voice. You don't really believe I'd hurt you, he said. Do you? I didn't answer. Because if I opened my mouth, my fear might spill out instead of words. Ethan's expression shifted into something wounded. We just got married, he said quietly. This is supposed to be the happiest time of our lives. Rachel's voice cut in, sharp as glass. You mean the time you planned to make her death look like an accident? Ethan's smile finally cracked. Watch your mouth, he said, voice low. The guard stepped closer. Sir, you warned. Ethan turned to the guard with a tight smile. This is my marriage, he said. Not your business. The manager appeared behind the desk, face tense. Sir, he said firmly. If there's a concern for guest safety, it is our business. Ethan looked around the lobby, at the cameras, the staff, the guard, Rachel standing like a shield. Then he looked back at me, and his eyes weren't gentle anymore. They were calculating. He took a slow breath, then nodded like he'd made a decision. Fine, he said quietly. If that's how you feel, Claire. We'll do this your way. He reached into his pocket. Rachel stiffened instantly. The guard's hand moved toward his radio. Ethan pulled out his phone and held it up. I'll prove it, he said calmly. You want to see everything? You can see everything. My heart hammered. He tapped his screen, turning it toward me. For a moment, I thought he was about to show me the hidden account to explain it away. Instead, he opened a different screen, his camera. He smiled gently again, and the coldness underneath it made my stomach drop. I'll record this, he said softly. So later, when you calm down, you can watch it and see how out of control you were tonight. Rachel lunged forward. Don't you dare. The guard stepped between them, firm. Ethan's smile widened slightly. See, he said, panning the camera toward Rachel. She's aggressive. She's the one escalating. I realized, with a sudden sick clarity, what future Rachel meant. He wasn't trying to push me off a balcony anymore. He was trying to destroy my credibility. He wanted a story, a record, a version of reality where I was unstable and he was the patient, loving husband trying to help. And then once everyone believed that version, he could try again, in a different way, somewhere quieter, somewhere without cameras. My voice finally came, steady and cold. Show them the insurance messages, I said to the manager, pointing to my phone. And show them the hidden chat. Ethan's eyes flicked to my phone. For the first time, real panic flashed behind his calm. The manager stepped forward, taking my phone carefully. The guard watched Ethan like a hawk. Ethan's mouth tightened. Claire, he said softly, warning wrapped in tenderness. Don't do this. I stared at him. You did it, I whispered. I'm just finally seeing it. The manager scrolled. His face hardened with every second. He looked up at Ethan. Sir, he said flatly, we are contacting local authorities. Ethan's calm shattered. Not into screaming. Into something worse, quiet fury. He took a step back, eyes locked on me, like I'd betrayed him. Okay, he murmured, voice low. Okay. He turned slightly, as if he might leave. Then he glanced at the lobby doors. At the storm outside. At the darkness beyond the glass. And I felt it. The moment he decided if he couldn't control the story, he might still try to control the ending. He moved fast. Not toward me. Toward the doors. Toward the outside. Rachel reacted even faster, grabbing my arm and yanking me back as the security guard lunged. Ethan's hand hit the door handle. And the guard caught him. The next seconds were chaos. Shouting, radio crackling, the manager barking instructions. Rachel's grip crushing my wrist as she kept me behind her like a wall. Ethan struggled for a moment, then froze, realizing cameras were catching everything. He lifted his hands slowly, breathing hard, eyes wild with rage and embarrassment. It was 2:58 a.m. I stared at the clock behind the desk, heart pounding so hard it felt like it might tear through my ribs. 2 minutes. 1 minute. At 3 a.m., the minute hand clicked over. Nothing magical happened. No lightning struck. No dramatic collapse. Just the simple, unbearable fact that time had reached the moment future Rachel described, and I was still standing. My knees nearly gave out with relief. Rachel's breath broke in a shaky sob. She leaned her forehead against my shoulder for half a second, like she needed to feel something real. "We made it," she whispered, voice cracking. "We made it." I closed my eyes, and for the first time all night, I believed I might see morning. Ethan stood restrained near the desk, face pale, jaw clenched so hard a muscle ticked near his temple. He didn't look like a gentle husband anymore. He looked like a man whose mask had been peeled off in public. And the scariest part was that he still didn't look sorry. He looked angry that he failed. When the authorities arrived, I answered questions in a daze, wrapped in a blanket the staff brought from somewhere. Rachel stayed glued to my side, refusing to let anyone separate us. Ethan tried to speak once, calm returning like a reflex. He tried to sound reasonable, confused, concerned. But the evidence didn't care about his tone. The insurance messages existed. The hidden chat existed. And the security footage existed too. Him trying to control the narrative, him trying to reach the doors, him slipping for 1 second into something raw and dangerous. As the night finally began to thin into morning, the storm easing outside, my phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. A final message. "You're alive. Don't waste it. Don't forgive too fast. And don't blame her forever. She's going to blame herself enough for both of you." My eyes blurred. I typed back with shaking fingers. "Or you really?" No reply. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. Rachel leaned her head against mine, exhausted, still trembling. "Claire," she whispered. "I don't know how that happened. I don't know how a call like that exists." "I don't either," I whispered. Rachel's voice broke. "But I'm sorry," she said. "I'm sorry he tried to pull me into it. I'm sorry I didn't tell you the second he asked. I'm sorry he hesitated." I turned to her. Her face was wrecked with guilt and fear and love. And in that moment, I remembered what future Rachel said. She tried. But she hesitated at the worst moment. This time she didn't. I reached for her hand and squeezed it. Not to erase what happened, but to anchor us both in what didn't. "We're here," I whispered. "That's what matters." Rachel nodded, tears spilling. "I'm never leaving you alone again," she vowed. I stared past her at the brightening sky outside the lobby windows, the rain easing into mist. Somewhere out there, in some version of tomorrow that almost happened, there had been a funeral at 3 in the morning. In this version, there was only a sunrise. And the quiet, terrifying beginning of learning how to live after you've seen the face behind someone's smile.